Today we're going to be talking about scissors. We're not going to be talking about which ones to buy or scissor types. I might do a video down the track where we do that, but today is more about tying with scissors in your hands. It's going to be about efficiency, pure and simple. You've probably seen a lot of people tying with the scissors in their hands on YouTube or at shows. You might have tried it yourself and decided not for you because you couldn't get comfortable. I think it's worth persevering, and especially to that person that's tried or not tried and abandoned the idea of tying with your scissors in your hands. I think you owe it a bit more thought and time and to get used to it, because you'll get to a point where, like me, you would feel naked without a pair of scissors in your hands when you're sitting at the vise. And every time we sit down to tie a fly, we will use a pair of scissors from beginning to end. So it's important and efficient. If you're putting these down and picking them up every time you need them, that's time lost, and often you've got to hunt for them because they're buried. So leave them in your hand. Having said this, these are Loon Ergo arrow point scissors, so they're quite a short scissor. They're only 3.5 inches tall, which you get scissors that are 4.5 inches tall, just for size reference. My hands are Sim's large glove hands, and I've got fat sausage fingers. So this isn't a definitive way of how to hold a pair of scissors in your hands. Hopefully it provokes some thought and gives you some food for thought in terms of how to tie with your scissors in your hands. But your hands will vary from mine, so you've got to work out what's most comfortable for you. I'll talk about why I hold my scissors the way I do. I use my third finger. Most tying scissors have quite large finger holes. That's important so that you can get your fingers in and out quite easily, and especially your thumb when you go to use them. You want to be able to slide that thumb in and out without it getting caught, so that you don't have to use your materials hand to get in there and help it. So the reason I use my third finger in the finger hole is twofold. One reason is that I can now use my middle finger and my index finger as stabilizers. So if I'm going to cut something fine, like I'm tying a size 20 and I need to get in there and cut something, the last thing you want is long scissor points exposed. The other extreme is index finger and thumb. Have a look at how much scissor point is exposed now, and I'm getting in there shaking away trying to cut 17/0 thread on a size 20 para Adams. Not that I'm that crazy, but doing it with middle finger through the finger hole, these two stabilizers, makes it much easier to control. The other reason is that I don't like to have a lot of scissor point exposed when I'm tying. In case I get near my face or something, it's just a safer practice to have less exposed. So third finger, closing those up, showing you my fist, look at how much scissor point is exposed on those 3.5 inch scissors. So let's change that around to middle finger now. Look at how much scissor point is exposed on these short 3.5 inch scissors. That's another reason, safety. Also comfort when we get to working with a bobbin, because you're going to have these in your tying hand. I'm right-handed, so they live in my tying hand. And now I'll go and pick up my bobbin. I have the first two fingers, my index finger and my middle finger, free, but I'm using all four fingers on the bobbin. And it's a really comfortable way of tying. So if you tie away, you let that hang off the hook at a point where it's resting and you need to manage some materials. Imagine that's hanging off the hook. Now I've got my materials hand free to do what I need to do to manage materials on the hook, or pick up new materials and cut. And then this is dangling on the hook, go in, pick it up, and I'm ready to tie again. Nice and comfortable. You can see how little the scissor points are exposed as I'm tying with this living in my hands. If it was my middle finger, unless you've got huge hands, extra large hands, look at how far the scissor points are exposed then. That's why I tie with my third finger through the loop. And that brings me to the last point, but this is an important one. You've been tying along and you've got your favourite beverage, as Cam Forsman would call it, brown fizzy stuff. You pick up the can and look at where the scissor points are. Nice and safe. You can tell I'm practiced at this. So what happens if you pick up the can or the glass that you're drinking out of too high? I know this is a bit tongue-in-cheek, but I've done this before I had enough practice, and I've seen it done where people have got dangerously close with their scissor points to their eye or their face when they're tying, and they pick up a drink and they forget that they have a pair of scissors in their hands. So it is important, even although I'm being a little bit silly. If you've got any questions or comments on something I may not have covered or that you do differently, please chime in. Like, just leave a comment or ask a question. It'd be great to hear from you. Thanks.